your now, that's what's important. We experience a collapse in our life structure most of the time because we fail to funeralize failed yesterdays. You have to be strong enough basically to realize you can elevate out of your current situation. Instead of looking at where you think you should be by now, look at where you have grown out of. There are many individuals who need help with their blueprint, and I want to be that vessel, nothing special, just that mouthpiece to inspire you to construct the best version of your life that you can be. Hey, Life Structure fam, you can now listen to all my episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you are an Amazon Prime member, you can listen on Amazon Music. Good stuff, good stuff. You're now tuned in to Life Structure with Eric podcast. Thank you for pulling up and tapping in. It's Monday, and I'm blessed. Blessed to be able to bring you guys another podcast episode. Blessed to get to yesterday, Resurrection Sunday, just being able to reflect back on all that was done for us on that day when he had to carry his cross and be crucified. you know um I can honestly say I don't know anyone that I'm connected to that would actually go through what Jesus went through on that day up on Calvary. Just the straight torture, But yet and still, all that he went through for us, we let some of the smallest things in life, get us to the point where we feel that we are just too good to be tested. It's I don't get it. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do. Before the day comes when he takes us. I know I do. Every day I'm a work in progress every day. But yeah, a few days ago, I was chatting with an old friend and we were just kind of reliving some old stories and talking about how grateful, we are to be in a better place in life. You know, um, we just was kind of swapping out some stories and just talking about how grateful that we are, to be in a so much better place, in our life, and I was remembering when I was in the midst of my addiction, how I would steal from my ex-wife. And at the time, I was hiding my addiction. She had no clue that I was using drugs, and I would basically help her. I would steal from her. She would be looking for it. And then I would help her look for what I knew that I had took from her. I mean, I'm talking about going to the extent that I would be flipping up pillows off the sofa, going through dresser drawers. Heck, I would look so long that I forgot that I even took it. You know, um, I was definitely what you call a professional manipulator. And in life, we all are one of two things. We know someone who is a manipulator, or we are that person. Ouch. Professional manipulators. They have a master's degree in petty, and their pride is keeping them from leveling up in maturity. They want what they want and they'll do what they need to do to get it. I'm talking about people who are allergic to saying, I'm sorry for what they did, just petty. People who, they'll cheat on you and then try to convince you that it's their fault I'm sorry, it's your fault that they cheated. Just petty. People who would try to discourage you to not pursue what God has planted in you. Petty. People who will see you start to bounce back and rebuild your life after you finally found the strength to stop using that drug or stop drinking, and then they'll offer to give you drugs or a drink for free. Just petty. People who will unscrew your light bulb because they're just kind of fearful of your shine so they can shine. Hashtag petty. you know, and people have been in the business of manipulating since the beginning of the Bible, and I'm sure, a lot of us, we may haven't gotten through a lot of the Bible, but a lot of us can, make reference to Genesis, Adam and Eve. In the Bible, the serpent manipulated Eve into doing what God had instructed her not to do. He told her to not eat the fruit off of the tree. He got a little petty and said, God knows that, he knows that the day that you eat the fruit, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good from evil. So not only did she eat from the tree, she convinced her husband to take a bite as well. Sheesh. I'll dive a little deeper. Still in Genesis, Laban, he had two daughters, Leah and Rachel. Jacob had a thing for Rachel, and Laban promised Jacob Rachel after he served him for 7 years. And at the end of the 7 years, Jacob was ready for his wife. Laban tricked him and gave him his younger daughter, Leah. When Jacob figured out something wasn't right, he went back. He was like, Laban, what have you done? Laban responds, in our country, you know, we cannot give our youngest, you know, before the firstborn, bear. So give me 7 more years and I'll give you my daughter, Rachel, as a wife. He manipulated Jacob for 14 years. Ain't it crazy how when we want something so bad or we want to be a part of something so bad that we let people manipulate us? And I believe that so many of us are wounded because our souls stop singing due to manipulation, due to the hurt, due to, us feeling like we were deceived, we were used, we were abused, about people. Some of the people closest to us, they manipulated us into lending them money, promising they're going to pay back. Relationships where, you were in a relationship and they, they promised you, this and this and this, and they fell short of it. That job that you put in all those years and then you put in for that management position, and they have been telling you, just do this and do this, and I'm going to give you this position. And then you put in for it, you don't get it. And then they try to manipulate you into training the person that they hired over you. Shish, manipulation. I mean, and the question, is like everybody has either been manipulated or you were the manipulator, and don't turn your nose up at me because we all know we have been one or the other. Even as a parent, we manipulated our kids. Kids don't like to eat vegetables. So what we do, we sit there and we try to mix up the broccoli, up in the gravy with the rice and cover the gravy up on top of the broccoli. And we are manipulating them to eating it, and they don't have no idea because they told us, I don't want no broccoli. I don't want no broccoli. And you can't just sit there and you're going to eat this broccoli. So you manipulate them, you camouflage it so they can eat it. That's what we do. That's what we do, and that a few weeks ago, this one that got me, I'm like, manipulation comes in all forms. I received the Cash App request a few weeks ago, and I got happy because it popped up on my phone. I thought somebody had sent me some money, and I kept looking, and I'm like, why is it has this send tab up there? They didn't call me, they didn't text me, they asked me if I could spare it. They just sent me a request. Know how you doing, no nothing. They just sent me a request, and I'm like, wow. So is that what we're doing now? You just gonna bam, send me $50. Manipulation. manipulation. We want what we want. And unfortunately, we will deceive the ones closest to us, making them find ways, making us feel something is right when it's all wrong. I'm talking about, taking their own insecurities and twisting them to look like, you know, we're the flawless one, you know. And one thing I cannot stand is for someone to twist my words and try to make me look like I'm wrong for everything. I'll go a step further. The tongue is one of the lightest organs in the body, but so many people can't hold it. They can't hold it. And people know they can latch out at you and call you names that just not going to sit well with you. And what you going to do? You're going to latch right back off at them. They know what it takes to push you. They know what it takes to push you. And they know if they call you out your name, then they're going to corrupt that good old prayer that you prayed that morning. You prayed that prayer this morning. God, give me peace. Lord God, let me please protect me from the enemy. You anoint your ears, you anoint your mouth, but at the same time, that devil knows, the enemy knows that if I catch them at the right time and I call them the wrong name, if I said the wrong thing to them, I'm going to get them right where I want them at. That tongue can be a huge manipulator. And the thing about it, you know, Jesus said, I know who I am. So if you don't call me by my name, I won't respond. And that's one of the things about manipulators. They need control. It's their oxygen. And guess what? When you don't respond, or basically when you respond the opposite way of what they're expecting you to respond, you cut off their oxygen. And when they notice that they can no longer manipulate you, they would start to stray away from you because now they're going to look for their next victim. When we live prayerless, we have to please everybody because our daily lives are not saturated in prayer. So that's why when people come to us with that manipulative behavior, we feel like we have to be people pleasing, to put ourselves in a position so we can fit in. So we allow ourselves to be manipulated, and manipulative people, they latch on to insecure people, and what they do is perform these psychological abuse. This psychological abuse is what they do. And we will let them abuse us because we want to be accepted. He's cheating, but he tells you, uh, you better be glad I'm paying the bills. Go and leave. But if you leave, you ain't taking that car I bought you, and you sure ain't taking them clothes and them expensive bags that I bought you. So you're gonna be manipulated to live in bondage because your pride won't let you give up worldly possessions. It's a struggle. It's a struggle to cut things, to cut the things and the strings of manipulating people, places, and things. They are nothing but intellectual bullies. And like I just said, it comes in the form of people, places, and things. All of them. All of them. And until you figure out that you need to disconnect yourself, it's hard. Until you see that you need to disconnect yourself from them, it's going to be hard. And the bad part about it is a lot of times because it's mama, daddy, our kids, our siblings, the best friend, the coworker, the church member, you know, we just went along with it and didn't even realize we were being manipulated until it was all over with. But it comes through all sorts of people, all sorts of people. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle. So, real quick, right now, this is real short. I'm almost over. Real quick. I want you to stop right now and ask God for forgiveness right now for being in circles of manipulation. Ask God to create in me, God, a clean heart so I can have that spirit of discernment to know when I'm being manipulated, not even when you know you're being manipulated. Be in that position where your prayer is so effective that you have that spirit of discernment over that manipulating spirit before that action can even form to even activate towards you. That's where we all need to be lined up at. And this is important because some of us, you know, we're in a bad relationship where we were victims of manipulation. So now trust is a huge issue. God keeps sending godly men or godly women your way, but you haven't dealt with the past wounds from manipulation. So you're scared to trust again. So stop right now and ask God for forgiveness for the past hurt, the past wounds of manipulation, but to create in you a clean heart so you can start fresh and move on. God has given us free will, and we have to be wiser in how we make choices. You know, God wants us to choose Him to be in control, but it's up to you and I if we choose Him. You know, we can stay connected to the manipulative people, or we can choose God to lead the way for us. So thank you guys for tapping in, and you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Blessings to you.